This is the Alphabet Class C shares 1 month overview reading for the month of July 2024. That's ticker symbol GOOG. It's currently June 8th, 2024, 9:23 p.m. Eastern Time. Google at the time of this reading is $175.95. That's USD. The shuffle video for the July Google reading was created on May 24th, 2024 at 1:37 a.m. Eastern Time. That's the video playing for you in the lower left corner. The overall theme and behavior for Google in July, we have a fast sudden move higher that'll stand out on a 1-year chart scale. Looks like it takes us to a important resistance again on a 1-year chart scale. This resistance will stand out because we've met it many times before and failed to break through it many times before. Behavior around the highest high, we have a decline out of the high that offers opportunity to open up a long position, indicating that we'll see the high more than once. Behavior around the lowest low, we have a U-shaped dip that forms near the intersection of two perpendicular diagonal trend lines. These two kind of really go well paired together like this because you got a high with a decline down to a low, and then you return back to a high. It fulfills both, right? Now, I'm going to get into the day-by-day chart behavior as well as timing the highs, the lows, and the best trade opportunities. But before I do all that, I just want to make sure you're aware. The whole purpose of the channel is to transmute some of the competitive energy of the stock market into goodwill. We do that by following the rule of karma for the channel. You go to the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, and 5% of the profits from every profitable trade utilizing this information should be donated forward to one of these charities, or pick a charity of your choosing as long as you're paying 5% forward, and then 5% should be sent back to the channel through one of these links. If you're international, you can use Wise or you can use YouTube tips, and that leaves you at 90%. Make sure to spend that 90% out of love. As long as you follow those rules, you follow the rule of karma for the channel, the universe considers you an angel investor. It's going to send it back to you tenfold for following through. Blessings to all my angel investors. Let's get back into it. On the first, we have a brief peak that's easily missed, followed by a decline through multiple support levels. Significant trade opportunity here on the first that we'll talk about in more detail in the paid version. There's a bit of a rally, but it's halted by a decline through key support into through multiple support levels. Decline continues into the second, and I should point out we have a day trade opportunity on the first. I'll talk about in more detail in the paid version. Decline continues into the second, but ends on the second with a fast sudden move higher that takes us into a peak on the third, followed by a full retracement over the weekend into a trough on the fifth. We actually have a trough on the third and a peak on the third with a trade opportunity at that peak. And what will happen is we'll break through resistance momentarily, stay above it briefly, and then break back down through that price level shortly thereafter with the full retracement. It looks like that really takes place over the holiday. Keep in mind the third is a half day. So on the fifth, we likely open lower. Yeah, fast sudden move higher out of the trough on the fifth, or at some point on the fifth from the trough back into a prominent peak. So it looks like we have a lowest low for the month here on the third, along with the highest high thus far at the end of the day. And then that notable reversal off of a trough in the morning on the 5th takes us to another prominent peak. We might see another highest high thus far there. It's possible. There's a breakout on the 8th. We also have a fast sudden move higher out of that trough on the 5th. And then on the 8th, we have a breakout on a multi-day scale, rallying, continuing into the 9th. But at some point on the 9th, it turns over. There's a trade opportunity there on the 9th we'll talk about in the paid version, and a significant move to the downside into a trough there on the 9th, followed by a rally along a diagonal trend line on the 10th, breaking through a horizontal resistance on a multi-day scale, meeting another resistance, and then pulling back to somewhere between those two price levels. There's 3 trade opportunities on the 10th. Interesting. Looks like there's a good chance we have a really sharp drop overnight into the morning of the 11th with another rally out of that trough. A lot of price change there in the morning of the 11th. And then equal amounts of bulls and bear inflow and outflow on the 12th, sideways fluidity along the key support level. That sideways rotation continues into the 15th, but it's followed by a big move to the upside and then more sideways rotation at a higher price level, taking us into a high for the month here on the 16th. And this is very likely the high for the month. Like, it doesn't get higher than this. Either the 16th or the 17th is my sense. Somewhere there. It might even be the 18th, actually, because we got that unicursal there and that cross-reading congruency. But I think it's probably on the 16th. And then that resistance level that we talked about at the beginning of the reading that we failed to break through many times before, it looks like it becomes a highlight on the 18th with that unicursal. We probably declined from it pretty notably into the 19th. I left out there's a pop and drop on the 17th. Apologies. Yeah, see, there's a big move off of the low. When you look at the 1 year, there's a big move off of the low. Lust card there. Interesting. This is a double cross-reading congruency, right? This was a cross-reading congruency from the 2023 reading, being the preview card, the Prince of Disc, and then we find it here as well, Prince of Disc, right? Taking place in July in a prominent location. So that's pretty significant. Yeah, and it looks like that sideways rotation takes place near the high. I probably left out on the 16th. From that high side, there's a decline with sideways fluctuating decline that precedes a notable pop and drop on the 17th. But we decline pretty notably on the 19th, and then on the 22nd, we have an important price level on a 1 year chart scale minimum that's highlighted there. My sense is that this is probably the same resistance that's being highlighted, and we see it several times here towards the end of the month. It's a cross-reading correlation as well, so not as strong as a congruency, but the science card was the high correlator card on the 1 year. On the 23rd, we have a trade opportunity midday at a trough, and there's a period of sideways rotation with a sharp drop that'll stand up in that period of sideways rotation, revisiting a support level that we recently met once before. And there's also a prominent peak there. That resistance probably highlighted again on the 24th. There's a day trade opportunity, a trough midday, and what we likely do is we rally into that resistance and then decline from that resistance. Decline pretty notably there into another prominent trough on like the morning of the 25th, with that Ace of Swords indicating that there's a pretty big move after this decline into a trough there. There's a pretty big move to the upside, taking us back to highest highs, or at least to that resistance level from the 24th that we fell from, right? Where there's like a resistance level here we see a few times, right? And then another high. So we return back like the morning of the 26th, we return back to a high, and then there's a pretty notable decline into the end of the day, increasing with momentum moving forward into a trough at the end of the day. Trough at the beginning of the day on the 29th in a period of volatility, and a sharp drop that stands out in that period of volatility. Also a prominent peak here, and then 3 crisscrosses back and forth through the same price level on the 30th with a big move to the upside towards the end of the day out of a significant trough. Yeah, I think that probably is another one. It's possible that we see a lowest low again over here before the size high, but the highest of them is going to be in the second half of the month, guys. And then there's some possibility that we come back to a lowest low. It'll be a prominent low. Whether or not it's a lowest low is hard to say because it's such a bullish card, but it's possible because of this death card. That big move rallies into key resistance on the 31st, and then we decline with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down out of the 31st and into the following month. The sneak preview for August, we have a resistance level that's highlighted that we decline from and then return to shortly thereafter. There's a pretty significant trade opportunity within the month of August as well. And that's Alphabet Class C shares for July 2024. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't done so. It really helps out the channel. But most importantly, make sure to follow that rule of karma. You know where to go. You know what to do. Blessings to all my angel investors. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay tuned if you got the paid version.